finding light in the darkness, the questions raised by Friedrich Schiller's The Robbers. Dear readers, in our lives, we inevitably encounter countless questions. At times, we are angered by injustice, at others, we wrestle with the complex choices life presents us, and we are startled by the deep shadows within human nature. These dilemmas are not exclusive to our modern era. Hundreds of years ago, writers of the past grappled with the same questions, and in their works, we find timeless insights that transcend eras. Today, we will explore together Friedrich von Schiller's early dramatic work The Robbers, a cornerstone of German literature and a pioneering voice of the Sturm und Drang, storm and stress, movement. This classic might feel unfamiliar to some. You might think classical literature is difficult, boring, or irrelevant to your life. Yet, I dare to say that The Robbers is not a story hidden behind barriers of knowledge or sophistication. Rather, it presents raw and universal human emotions, intense rage, destructive desires, and a fierce longing for justice, as vividly as a passionate movie, overwhelming us with its powerful questions. So, let us put aside any prejudices and dive fearlessly into this provocative drama. 1. The passionate plot of The Robbers, a tragic tale of brothers and the corruption of justice. The Robbers unfolds as a tragic tale centered around the noble Mohr family in Germany. The protagonists are two brothers, Karl Mohr and Franz Mohr. Karl, the elder, is honest, passionate, and possesses a just soul who cannot tolerate injustice, though he is somewhat impulsive. His younger brother Franz, in contrast, is cold, cunning, and unhesitating in committing atrocities to satisfy his desires. The story begins with Franz's vicious schemes. He envies Karl, who is favored by their father, the Count of Mohr, and harbors ambitions to seize the family inheritance. Franz manipulates Karl's subordinates into spreading false accusations, claiming Karl squandered his tuition money, engaged in reckless behavior, and even committed crimes. With these lies, Franz deceives their father, leading to Karl's disinheritance and exile. Karl, who had longed to return to his father and the love of his life, Amalia, is shattered upon hearing of his banishment. Overcome with betrayal and despair, he erupts in anger at society's corruption and hypocrisy, vowing to become the chief of robbers. He gathers like-minded young men to form a band of outlaws, vowing to punish corrupt nobles and greedy leaders while restoring social justice. Though they redistribute wealth from the unjust to the poor, their methods gradually devolve into violent and cruel acts of vengeance. Meanwhile, Franz dominates the family by imprisoning and tormenting their father while persistently pressuring Amalia. Under Franz's tyranny, the Mohr family descends into suffering and fear. As time passes, Karl's band becomes increasingly brutal. Torn between his ideals and the harsh realities of his actions, Karl begins to question the morality of his cause. In the end, returning to his hometown upon hearing news of his loved ones, Karl witnesses Franz's atrocities firsthand. The story spirals toward a dramatic reversal and a tragic conclusion. Franz, terrified of being exposed, meets a miserable end. Karl, however, is forced to confront the consequences of his actions and makes an irreversible, tragic choice. Amalia's tragic death and their father's final moments weigh heavily on Karl, burdening him with unbearable guilt and despair. Ultimately, Karl surrenders to a farmer in exchange for a reward, relinquishing his life as a final act of penance. The Robbers is not merely a tale of moral lessons. It is a shocking mirror that reveals how easily the pursuit of justice can lead to violent destruction and how the desires for revenge and power can lead to ruin. 2. The implications of The Robbers' timeless questions across generations. Now, let us consider what this ancient story means for us today. Even without specialized knowledge or education, we can find clues to questions that continuously arise in our lives within this work. 2.1. The fuzzy boundary between justice and revenge. Initially, Karl seeks to combat social injustice and help the oppressed. However, his pursuit of justice gradually transforms into personal vengeance and anger. Violent tactics erode his noble ambitions, ultimately leading him toward murder and destruction. In our lives, we often feel outrage toward injustice in the news or even in our personal experiences. We might think, those villains must be punished. But this work questions us: what is true justice? Is it right to punish injustice with violence? What results when revenge is disguised as justice? We are prompted to reflect on how our anger at injustice can become destructive revenge rather than constructive change, a dilemma we face in personal conflicts and social movements alike. 2.2. The duality of human nature, the coexistence of good and evil. Karl once held noble ideals but eventually became a cruel robber under pressure and inner rage. Franz, on the other hand, appears villainous from the start, yet his actions may also stem from a lack of social recognition, love, and twisted desires. In our lives, we rarely meet people who are entirely good or entirely evil. Good and evil coexist within us all. A small lie can grow into a great falsehood, and a moment of compromise can lead to irreversible downfall. Rather than posing philosophical questions like, are humans fundamentally good or evil? This work compels us to deeply reflect on how and in what situations we choose to act kindly or commit evil. In moments of weakness, temptation, or anger, we may find the shadows of Karl and Franz within ourselves. 2.3. Freedom and constraint, the path to true liberation. Karl longs to escape societal oppression and hypocrisy, declaring his intent to define his own justice beyond law and order. Yet, his freedom ultimately binds him tightly to guilt and destructive actions. Franz, too, seeks freedom through domination and ownership, yet his inner world is plagued by constant fear and anxiety. In our lives, we all desire freedom: economic freedom, freedom from time, freedom from others' expectations. Yet, what is true freedom? This work suggests that just as external oppression is a constraint, so is the lack of internal moral restraint, conscience. Unrestrained freedom can lead to self-destruction and harm to others. True freedom can only exist with responsibility and ethical reflection. 2.4. The weight of choices and responsibility. Every character in The Robbers makes significant choices, each with irreversible consequences. Karl's decision to become a robber, Franz's betrayal and abuse of his father, and even Amelia's unwavering loyalty, all these choices carry their own burdens and costs. In our lives, we make countless choices every day. What profession will we pursue? With whom will we build a relationship? What words will we say or actions will we take? While these may seem minor, collectively they shape our lives and often influence the lives of others. This work raises the question, what is my choice in this moment, and how prepared am I to bear the consequences? It teaches the importance of deep reflection and responsibility for our actions. 2.5. Social critique and the role of the individual. Written in late 18th century Europe, a time of rapid social change, The Robbers is a powerful critique of feudal contradictions, noble corruption, and the upcoming French Revolution. It shows how societal injustices can lead individuals to destruction. Karl's downfall is not only a result of personal choices but also a product of the societal environment that forced him to such extremes. Today, how is our society? Issues such as power abuses, unfair competition, and discrimination against the weak persist. This work encourages us to question our indifference toward these problems, consider what voice we can raise as individuals, and what actions we can take. While an individual may wish to act with good intentions, a flawed social system can lead to frustration or moral decline. At the same time, it reminds us of our personal responsibility in building a better society. 3. Why read The Robbers now? The power of reading. At this point, you may have sensed why this seemingly unfamiliar classic is significant not only for knowledge and education but for all of us. I believe this work offers profound insights for your life. 3.1. A deep understanding of human nature. Through dramatic events and vivid characters, The Robbers explores both the darkest and brightest aspects of human beings. As we empathize with the characters' sufferings and conflicts, we are stirred emotionally and ultimately expand our understanding of what it means to be human. This is essential for gaining wisdom in life and developing empathy, skills that go beyond academic knowledge. 3.2. Cultivation of critical thinking. This work constantly questions readers: is Karl's behavior truly justifiable? What motivates Franz's evil deeds? Instead of providing easy answers, it challenges readers to think independently and judge from multiple perspectives. This process sharpens our minds and nurtures the ability to approach complex issues from diverse angles. 3.3. Emotional catharsis through literature. The Robbers is a work brimming with intense emotions. The characters' fierce anger, greed, and sorrow deeply move readers, creating a powerful immersive experience. Experiencing such emotions through literature can offer a kind of emotional catharsis, helping us release stress and repressed feelings. Like how we laugh and cry while watching a movie, reading this work can provide a sense of relief. 3.4. Expansion of language and expression. Reading classic literature enriches vocabulary and introduces diverse sentence structures and expressions. While it may initially feel challenging, becoming familiar with the language of the work gradually enhances our ability to think deeply and express ourselves more precisely. This is one of the foundational steps in building knowledge and education. 3.5. Exploration of universal values across time. Though set in 18th century Germany, the themes of justice, revenge, freedom, human nature, and ethical choices in The Robbers are timeless and universally applicable. Exploring these universal values deepens our understanding of society and helps us establish our own values. 4. Reading the start of a grand adventure. Dear readers, knowledge and education are not the exclusive privileges of any particular group. They are doors open to anyone who questions, explores, and seeks to understand the world and themselves. And reading is one of the most powerful and beautiful keys to unlocking those doors. Schiller's The Robbers is not merely a difficult classic. It is the passionate cry of a young man who lost his way while fighting against life's injustices and a mirror reflecting the depths of human nature. Through this story, you will be confronted with questions such as, what choices will I make? And what kind of world do I want to live in? It will awaken the seeds of reflection and contemplation dormant within your heart. While reading may appear to be a solitary and quiet activity, it is in fact one of the greatest adventures. Through books, we indirectly experience the lives of people from different eras and places, expanding our worldview and understanding. At first, it may feel a bit challenging. However, what truly matters is not simply finishing the book, but how it resonates with your heart and what questions it raises. So, do not be afraid. Through The Robbers, you will not only read an old story but also confront profound questions about human existence, reflect on yourself, and gain new perspectives on the world. I strongly encourage you to start this magnificent adventure right now. May the light of literature illuminate your life, offering you rich and profound moments of thought.